I never thought I would find myself in such a moment of weakness, but life has a way of surprising us in the most unexpected ways. My name is Linda, and I'm 42 years old. I married Mark, a kind-hearted man with a teenage son named Jason, who was just 17 when this story began. I had always been the type of woman who tried to keep everything together: the house, my career, and my family. But one evening, after a particularly hard day at work, all of that balance came crashing down. That night, I came home exhausted and emotionally drained. My boss had yelled at me for something that wasn't even my fault, and the workload had been piling up for weeks. I felt like I was running in circles and getting nowhere. To make matters worse, traffic was unbearable, and I walked into a quiet, empty house because Mark was away on a work trip. Normally, I would just collapse on the couch with a cup of tea, but instead, I opened a bottle of wine. One glass turned into two, then three, and before I realized it, I had finished half the bottle. I don't usually drink, so the alcohol hit me harder than I expected. I remember staring at the kitchen counter, blurry-eyed, when I heard the sound of the front door opening. Jason had come home from basketball practice earlier than usual. "Linda," he called, sounding surprised to see the lights still on. I tried to straighten up, but my words slurred a little. "Oh, hey, Jason. You're back early." He stepped closer, concern written all over his face. "Are you okay?" I wanted to brush it off, to laugh and tell him I was just tired, but the truth was obvious. I wasn't okay, and Jason could see it. For the first time since I had married his dad, I felt embarrassed in front of him. He was just a teenager, but in that moment he seemed older than me, like the roles had reversed. Jason carefully set down his backpack and came closer. "Did you drink?" I sighed, lowering my head into my hands.
Yeah, I did.
Rough day at work. I shouldn't have, but I don't know, I wanted to forget everything for a while. What happened next truly shocked me. Jason didn't roll his eyes or make some snarky comment like many teenagers might have done. Instead, he walked over to the sink, took the glass out of my hand, and poured the rest of the wine down the drain. "You don't need this," he said softly. "Come on, let's sit down." He guided me toward the couch, helping me steady myself. I could see how awkward he felt, yet he handled it with surprising maturity. I sat down, and he grabbed a glass of water for me. "Drink this instead," he insisted. As I sipped the water, tears welled up in my eyes. I had been holding everything in for so long, trying to be strong, pretending nothing ever got to me, but in that moment, with Jason sitting beside me, the dam broke. I started to cry. Jason looked panicked at first, not sure what to do, but then he awkwardly placed his hand on my shoulder. "It's okay, Linda. You don't have to explain if you don't want to." But I did explain. Between shaky breaths, I told him how overwhelming work had been, how I felt like I was failing at everything, and how lonely the house felt with Mark away so often. Jason listened quietly, nodding every now and then. He didn't interrupt, didn't judge, just listened. When I finally calmed down, Jason surprised me again. He said, "You know, I get it. I mean, not the work stuff, but the part about feeling overwhelmed. Dad's been away a lot, and sometimes it feels like it's just me figuring everything out. I guess we both feel a little alone." His words hit me deeply. I had been so focused on my own struggles that I hadn't stopped to think about how Jason was handling things. He was just a kid, yet he carried himself with more grace than I had that night. From that evening forward, something changed between us. Jason and I had always been polite with each other, but after that night, we developed a bond that went beyond the usual step-parent and stepchild relationship. We started talking more about school, work, life, even small things like what we wanted for dinner. It became our way of keeping each other grounded. A week later, when Mark came back from his trip, he noticed the difference. At dinner, Jason and I were laughing about something, and Mark raised his eyebrows. "Wow," he said, smiling. "You two are getting along better than ever." Jason and I shared a glance, a silent acknowledgement of that one night when everything shifted. Neither of us mentioned what had happened, but it became the foundation for a new kind of trust. Over time, I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't let work push me to that point again. And if I ever felt like I was heading in that direction, I would talk about it instead of trying to drown it in a glass of wine. Jason had taught me something invaluable that night, that even in my weakest moments, I wasn't alone. What shocked me wasn't just that my stepson had seen me at my lowest, but that he had responded with compassion, maturity, and care. He reminded me that family isn't just about blood, it's about being there for each other when it matters most. And so, what began as one of the most humiliating moments of my life turned into one of the most meaningful. I'll always remember that night, not as the night my stepson found me drunk, but as the night he reminded me that sometimes the people we think we need to take care of are the ones who end up taking care of us.